Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and in this video, I'm going to answer the question, is it possible to automatically implement unemployment benefit extensions in the future without having all this political gridlock, without even having to have the House and the Senate vote? Yes, it is actually possible, and it is through a process called the automatic stabilizer method. I will discuss this with you and we'll get to that. In this video, I'm going to go over three things. The first, I'm going to go over the optics of the stimulus negotiations, how things are looking right now for both parties, and which party might have the advantage as far as public opinion is concerned. Number two, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the likely outcomes about where the unemployment benefit discussion might go as it pertains to the November elections, believe it or not, because the outcome of the November elections is going to determine what happens long term with unemployment benefits in the country, because it is quite likely that the pain is going to last beyond November. And number three, I'm going to talk about how the country can automatically implement unemployment benefit extensions in the future by taking politicians, by taking the House and the Senate out of the picture, by having a law in place, by having a mechanism called the automatic stabilizer method, which actually was suggested by House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, where the unemployment benefits for state residents are directly related to the extent of unemployment in that state. Right now, we have no mechanism like that, which is why there's so much chaos, why there needs to be legislation, why different states are behaving differently, why different states are implementing the implementation of the $400 a week lost wages assistance program differently. It's quite a mess right now, and the automatic stabilizer method will allow the automatic implementation of unemployment benefits without requiring congressional approval, without requiring the president to step in, and it'll be something that adapts automatically based on the extent of unemployment in a given state. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get started and discuss the optics of the stimulus negotiations. According to a recent article in Newsweek, and you can see that article on your screen here, the White House and the Democrats are now basically casting blame on each other, because at this point there is no consensus. So one side is essentially casting blame on the other side's positions. Now, according to experts, the Republicans actually have more to lose than the Democrats, and the reason for this primarily is that, number one, the Democrats are united. They did pass the HEROES Act back in May, and it actually went through the House, but it sort of didn't go anywhere in the Senate, because the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said, and I quote, that it was dead on arrival in the Senate, and also because the Republicans are divided internally. There are a lot of Republicans internally that oppose any kind of stimulus at all, and Senator Rand Paul is one such GOP senator who believes that there should be no more stimulus. So there's essentially a lot of division within the Republican Party about their approach to the stimulus. Now, even though the two sides are very, very far apart, there are areas of consensus between both sides. Both sides want the $1,200 stimulus checks, and both sides agree on several aspects of the stimulus negotiations. In fact, as a compromise, the administration suggested that both sides should get together and pass a shorter bill, a smaller bill, a skinny bill, if you will, which contained several aspects that both sides agreed with. The stimulus checks were one of them, the unemployment benefits were another. Now, different sides have proposed different things. The GOP skinny bill did not include stimulus checks, whereas the Democrats wanted to pass federal unemployment benefit extension. So both sides are trying to put together some sort of a piecemeal deal, but with the election only 3 months away, and with the Republicans being completely divided, it seems, based on the reporting in Newsweek, that the Democrats have the upper hand and simply can stand firm with their position of wanting over $2 trillion, which in their opinion is a step down from the $3.4 trillion that they had originally asked for with the HEROES Act back in May. We'll hear more from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her negotiating position and her exact words in the next video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you enable notifications so you get instant updates about important alerts like that. The bottom line is that the Democrats are standing by with their need for aggressive relief. They're not budging, they're not backing down. In fact, it seems like they have very little reason to, from a political and from an ideological standpoint. Here's a comment from Sarah Binder, who's a professor of political science at George Washington University and a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. She said, "What's their incentive to back down? If Democrats thought they'd be blamed squarely for the deadlock, I think they'd go to the table for something smaller." She added, "If you do something smaller, Republicans can say we are done." And I think Democrats don't want to be in that position. And like I mentioned earlier, there is some division amongst the Republicans, whereas the Democrats seem to be largely united. Although there have been some reports of some agitated Democrats and over 100 Democrats that have been trying to pressure House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, but it's actually clear that she's not going to budge, because I will bring you House Speaker Pelosi's statements in the next video. The bottom line is both the Democrats and the Republicans are facing some tough re-election bids, some tough re-election campaigns in the coming months, and there are political ramifications to this entire situation. Now, polling shows that a majority of Americans actually want second stimulus checks, want the extension of federal unemployment benefits, because they feel it's necessary for them to pay their bills. Also, a lot of economists believe that this extra stimulus will help further prop up the economy, because the initial stimulus as a result of the CARES Act allowed the economy to remain somewhat on an even keel, if you will, despite the significant surge in unemployment. So basically, if the Democrats stand firm with their position and say, hey, we are not going to be willing to accept a small stimulus package, we want a larger stimulus package, a CARES Act 2.0, if you will, an extension of federal unemployment benefits, a $600 a week booster until January of next year, it is a very popular position, and it's a position that they can afford to stick with despite the fact that a lot of unemployed individuals are still struggling. It is a politically popular decision for them. It is a political leverage for them in this situation, and this was in the article in Newsweek. So at this point in time, the Democrats seem to be motivated to hold out for a deal, and we'll wait and see what happens, because this situation changes very quickly and changes very dynamically. And if in November the Democrats take control of the House and the Senate, and if there's a Democratic president in the White House, then according to Darren Shaw, a professor at the University of Texas's Department of Government, and Frank C. Irvin, chair of state politics, they have effectively won. In that situation, the Democrats can pretty much do whatever they want. Now, keep in mind that Senators Susan Collins, John Cornyn, and Martha McSally are facing tough re-election bids against Democratic challengers, and polls put the Democratic nominee Joe Biden at this point in time ahead of President Donald Trump. Now let's get to the third component of this video, which is how to automatically implement unemployment benefit extensions in the future. Imagine if there was a world where we didn't have to go through legislation, we didn't have to go House to Senate and then have the president sign a bill into law whenever some sort of a crisis happened. Imagine if the amount and the extent of unemployment benefits, the duration, as well as the dollar amount, was completely modernized, completely automated, so that it went up as the unemployment rates went up, and then it went down as the unemployment rates normalized. That is the automatic stabilizer method. And this automatic stabilizer method is something that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is trying to push for. By implementing an automatic stabilizer, Congress could provide enhanced unemployment benefits whenever the unemployment rate increases above a set amount, without requiring the House and the Senate to get involved, without requiring formal legislation, which is where we are stuck right now, which is why millions of Americans are sort of caught in the gridlock between the House and the Senate, between a Democratic House and a Republican Senate. If the entire unemployment benefit extensions are tied to the unemployment rate, it actually takes politics out of the equation completely. According to Brian Kench, who's the dean of the Pompeo College of Business at the University of New Haven, he said it would take politicians out of the story during a recession, and having it already in place would also likely increase the speed and the efficiency of getting payments back and quickly over to individuals who need it the most, which then would facilitate economic recovery. So there you have it, everyone, the automatic stabilizer method. I do believe that once we recover from this, states will see an improvement, a modernization of their technology. States will see a streamlining of all their work processes, so that unemployment benefits can flow faster to individuals who need it the most. This is how we learn, and this is how we get better. I know this doesn't help the millions of my fellow Americans who are suffering out there, but this is where we stand right now, and I'm confident that things will get better going forward. Let me know what you think about the automatic stabilizer method in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you think. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, I live the American dream. I have the privilege and the honor of living the American success story, and you can learn more about me on my channel by checking out my introduction, and we'll provide you with the link to my introduction in this video and also in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to get more news and more information from us, please send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS alerts list, and you can also get added to our email list, and you can opt out at any time you want. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Please don't forget to click like, click subscribe and enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode of Ignition Time.